test results here, and we're going to determine how many of the students scored between the relevant ranges, which for advanced would be 90 to 100, proficient would be 80 to 90, and so on and so forth. The way we're going to do that is we're going to use a method called Sumproduct, which is a little bit cleaner than if-then statements, because if-then statements have a maximum limit in Excel 2008 of I think 7 nested. But with a Sumproduct you can do as many different criteria as you want. So the method of doing this is equal Sumproduct. Whoops, let me just spell that correctly. And that opens up the formula. Now we're going to have two parameters that we're going to search for. We're going to search for scores that are greater than or equal to 90 and less than or equal to 100. So our first parameter, we need to add one more paren because we're going to bracket that parameter. We're going to search the data from E6 to E24. And what we want to know is for scores that are greater than or equal to 90. And we're going to close off that parameter. We're going to multiply the results of that times the search for the same data, but we're looking for results that are less than or equal to 100. So we're going to close off that second parameter, and now we're going to close off the formula. And you can see that you have 4 instances where the student scored greater than 90, 1, 2, 3, and 4, but less than 100. So what's going on with Sumproduct? Graphically speaking, the first parameter right here, the E6 to E24 that's greater than or equal to C35 is indicated right here. So it's searching this column and it's saying, okay, is this greater than 90? And it says no, so it returns a 0. But in this column it is greater than 90, so it returns a 1. And that's all this formula is doing, is returning a 0 or a 1 based on this. And then it's looking for the second part of the equation, which looks for the same data and says if it's less than or equal to 100. And in this case, everything is less than or equal to 100, so you have a bunch of 1s. So you've got a bunch of 0s and 1s times a bunch of 0s and 1s. And the result of the formula is that it multiplies the first part times the second part. So in this case, you've got 0 times 1 is 0. And in this case, you have greater than 90 and less than 100, and you've got a 1 times a 1 is a 1. And then you sum it up and you get 4. And that's simply how it goes. Now, if you want to take this data and you want to drag it to the right for the math and for the total, and then also drag it down, we need to work with the references, whether absolute or relative. So in this case, this part of the formula is referencing the 90 to 100, and we want that to stay the same except in the event when we drop it down. So we're not concerned with the rows, we're concerned with the columns. So we want the columns C and D to remain static, whether we drag to the right or to the left, or up or down. This data we do not want to change regardless of whether we drag it down, but we are going to want it to change if we drag it to the right. For example, we're going to want it to get the count for math, or that's going to be based on this column as opposed to the original. So we do want the column to change, but not the rows. So we're going to put a $ in front of the rows for E6 and 24, and then again 6 and 24. Oops. Put that 6 back there, which I accidentally typed over. And E24. Okay, so E6 to E24, which matches this, E6 to E24. So basically what this says is we can now drag it to the right and up and down and fill this in with the correct references. So I'm going to drag this to the right, and then I'm going to click in here just to make sure that we're referencing the right information. So we have the right column here for the math, and we're referencing the same data range that we want to compare it against. And then the same for total. Now we can highlight this entire section of the row and drop down, and we can just randomly check in here and make sure that we're referencing the right information. And again, we've got the verbal data right here that we wanted always to remain the same, but now we're comparing against 70 and 80. And that's exactly it. To make sure that you have the right number of results based on the right number of inputs, you can do a little check. Basically sum up all of your results here. There's 19. We come down here and we do sum. We have 19 total. And then we come here and we highlight the number of students. And we do count. And we can see we have 19 students. So we have 19 students, 19 results, 19 results, 19 results. And that's how you can do this.